What's up guys, it's Rowan here from Smart TV. Now the HSC can sometimes feel like if you screw up an assessment, you've screwed everything up. Like you're gone. You're not going to get the ATA, you're not going to get the degree that you want to get into. It's easy to go down that pathway of negative thinking, but honestly, it's actually far from the truth, because if you do screw up an assessment, it is in fact incredibly possible to turn things around. And today I'm going to be interviewing Tom, a student who turned things around for HSC Business Studies. You know, during his HSC year, he got a 30% result for his HSC Business Studies, and by the end of it managed to achieve a 38% improvement for business studies, which enabled him at the end of that journey as well to still get into the gold degree that he wanted to at university. So we're going to dive into it and we're going to find out how it is possible to turn HSC Business Studies around, and how you can use this both as motivation if you're struggling with a bad assessment result yourself, but also how you can use the strategies that Tom shares that he used so that you can also turn things around. So welcome, Tom.
Hey Rowan.
Hey, how you going?
I'm good, How are you?
Good to hear. I'm very well. Now, business studies, you got this result, was it 30%, is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Now, when did that happen?
That happened term one.
Term one. So it was like first assessment, first off the rank. You're like, I'm going to nail this HSC thing. You get the 30% back. How did you feel?
Horrible. Because that was term one. That was so early. I like started school and I was all happy and I was ready to go. Friends were going well, everything was going well. And then business just hit me in the face, you know? Just wasn't a good thing.
And why do you think it was a 30%? Like what went wrong for you to produce that?
I was not organized. It was not in my vocabulary.
So when you say not organized, what were some of the things that were in your life that were evidence that you were not organized?
I just didn't feel ready, you know? I just felt like, I didn't have a pencil case, for example. I just would sometimes forget things and I just wasn't waking up properly. I'd wake up late every day. I'd go to bed late almost pretty much every day. And just I wasn't motivated nor dedicated enough to succeed in any subject, including business. So that kind of turned into motivation and success once I started working on it.
And if we fast forward for a moment, you know, at the end of the journey, you got 68%, is that correct, for business? Which was a 38% improvement. So proof that you certainly can turn things around. And I think importantly, you ended up getting into your gold degree at university as well. So what will you be studying this year?
A Bachelor of Commerce and a Bachelor of Arts at Macquarie.
Fantastic. So despite getting that bad result at the start of the journey, you know, the kick in the guts, you turned things around and you got into your gold course. I think it's proof that whatever you do, you shouldn't give up. You get a bad result, don't give up, don't throw in the towel, because you can change things. I'd love to hear about how you turn things around for business studies. So you got the result, 30%. What did you do after that to start changing your results?
For me, it was actually friends. Just, focus groups. They worked at the start, and when I had more time to kind of, joke around with friends and stuff, in 4-person groups, we would all study and turn into a laughing fest and just having fun and all that. That was good. That taught me how to kind of learn a bit. But being by myself and taking the time to learn how to study, right? Which is really where I learned in year 12, ironically, is how to work, right? So that is what boosted it.
So everything started with motivation, by the sounds of it, right?
That's the key.
So it sounds like for you, you know, that you came in with an attitude of probably, oh, I'm going to be fine, whatever, I'm going to kill this, and then you got this result. It's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
It's realised, well, okay, I've got to get motivated, I've got to get organised.
Yeah.
What then did you did you start writing study notes? Did you start doing some practice, short answer questions for business? What did then the actual strategies look like that you started employing?
I did start with writing physically, and I spent this is a horrible thing, don't do it, but I spent 6 hours a day just sitting there studying, so writing short answer questions, answering them, marking them. Well, originally actually I didn't mark them, which was weird. I just wrote them and thought they were good because I didn't have time for marking, right?
So just pause, marking, really important.
Yeah,
otherwise you've got no
correcting your mistakes. And then instead of thinking of it as a mistake, which everyone does, you see a red X and you're like, crap, right, it's not done. But instead of thinking it's a mistake, think, how can I improve my mistake? So thinking, how can I, instead of I can't. I thought for the whole of year, term 1, term 2, I thought I can't improve in business, I'm going to drop it. And I was going to, even though I want to do business in my life. But every time I said I can't, I would get worse and worse and less motivated. But once I said, how can I do this? That's when my marks started going up. So it kind of changed that whole idea. So writing study notes, writing short answer questions, and writing full business plans. And then when not doing well, improving them on that how can I basis.
Awesome. So it sounds like ultimately it was this sort of trifecta, right, of notes, questions, business plans, marking all of them, getting feedback on all of them, and then improving them, and then a rinse and repeat process. I mean, is that essentially what you would say is the key sort of, short of the motivation mindset shift that you had, the key strategies that you employed to sort of turn things around?
Key strategies. Yeah, I would say that, 100%.
Yeah, awesome. Now, I believe Melanie also from Art of Smart gave you a bit of support for business studies, is that right?
Yeah, she did.
So now, what sort of support was Melanie helping you with for business studies and providing?
Mainly understanding the brief. So the stimulus in business plans, for example, I could never understand them because, again, I wasn't thinking of my business, right? And then she kind of taught me that whole mindset of this is my business, right? And how can I make it succeed in my own terms? That's what she taught me. So that's kind of, I would say, the biggest factor that brought me a bit higher.
Awesome, because it helped you better understand the questions that you were needing to answer, essentially. Made it more relevant for you, which increased motivation by the sounds of it as well, because it's like, it's not another random business, it's my hypothetical business. Fantastic. Now, do you have any other feedback, or suggestions or advice for students that have got a poor business studies result and are needing to turn things around?
Read the stimulus. That is a huge one. And don't give up, because business can be aggressive. Like, there's a lot of content. And the whole time I was thinking, I don't need this. Like, why would I need to know about trademarks in a business, right? And then I realized, oh, I do, right? So don't give up. Don't think, oh, this is unnecessary. I don't need this. Keep going. Like, who wants to give up? After I started realizing, hey, if I can do this, everyone else can. What if I can boost everyone's marks and just focus on the goal? That's when I started getting happier, more confident, and my business marks shot up.
Fantastic. That's really awesome. Now, I wanted to just dive into something that you sort of shared there. When you were sort of starting to, I guess, start applying and doing the work, right? You were writing notes. Were they handwritten or typed?
Handwritten.
Handwritten, and that's because you found them more effective?
Actually moving your hand is what kind of
build the memory. So you did that to build memory, and that's where I wanted to go. Business studies has a lot of content. You yourself said it. I think most of the time students struggle, not necessarily with understanding the concepts. There's some complex ones there, but overall it tends to be more the amount of content. So what did you find in the end helped you memorize the sheer volume of content for business studies?
Memorization techniques. So don't settle for the standard ones like Cornell. Well, it works, mind maps. Settle for the ones that you want. Create your own, right? So one that I used, which you've heard about, is this memorization technique of placing separate colored sticky notes in every part of the house for different topics. So for example, finance would be a section. I remember it was inside the bathroom, like at one point it'd be a section and you'd have to walk over and you like move in order to read those notes. And then that would be my study session. I'll just move, and I have those notes there. And I found that was much more effective than writing because you're moving. Your body's like, hey, this is fun, we should do it. You gotta make studying, working fun.
Awesome. So it sounds like, just to capture that, ultimately it was about finding a memorization strategy that was fun. Like bringing some fun into it so that you would actually be motivated to keep on doing the work, exploring the ideas, learning them, so that when you got in, it was, you actually knew your stuff.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So there you have it, guys. We've just heard from Tom the steps that he took to turn HSC Business Studies around. Ultimately it was a mixture of really finding the motivation, and part of that was finding more fun and interesting ways to actually engage and learn with the material. And then it was also combined with the really structured approach of, handwritten notes to build memory, working on short answer questions, working on, business reports, and actually getting some support along the way to help him just get greater clarity on how to actually navigate it. So guys, look, hopefully that's been a help for you if you yourself have got a HSC Business Studies result that has not gone well. You can now know that if Tom can do it, you can do it. There is a pathway you can actually take to turn that result around. And if you need additional support, get in touch with the team of Art of Smart. We've got some incredible teachers, tutors, and mentors that will be able to support you both with the strategies and the mindset and the content knowledge to be able to really transform your results. All the best as you turn around your HSC Business Studies results.